It's that time of the year, December, when you and I reflect on how the year went and get ready for the next 2025. So last week, I took the time to reflect on 2024 and on my resolution for 2024. I was everywhere because just like you, I have multiple interests. So my resolution for 2024, I had career goals, I had business goals, I had physique goals, I had breaking goals. And for those who don't know, breaking is breakdancing. And I had financial goals as well as relationship goals. And, I was everywhere. My focus was everywhere. But like I planned for my focus to be everywhere. But now that I'm looking at it, my focus ultimately ended up being on the business side. And on the business side, my goals were to basically just publish 2 apps. And I did. And I want to plug one of them real quick. And it's a productivity system that I had turned into an app. And that system literally changed my life. It organized my life and, just helped me get things done, stay accountable, and just literally remember everything. So if you're interested in that, I will link it down in the description, and it's the best way to support me. So back to what I was saying. Despite me planning to level up on all of the different aspects of my life, I literally just leveled up on business because I think I set smart goals, which is specific, measurable, blah blah blah. Like I to publish 2 apps. That was the goal, and I did that. And when I say that my focus went mostly on that, I mean like literally. Like when I'm working out, I'll be doing the pull-ups, the push-ups, and the squats, and my mind would be somewhere else. It would be coding. And when I'm eating, I would be coding. When I'm taking a shit, I would be coding. It was good and bad at the same time. So one thing I'm realizing with 2024 was that when I planned the year, I literally planned the year. I had the different aspects of my life, had milestones for each of them, and broke them down into the dailies and weeklies that I had to hit. And that was the biggest mistake. Not the breaking down part, but the planning the year as if I'm going to be perfect and execute on it literally for the whole year, as if I'm not going to run into some issues along the way and things like that. And, I'm not perfect. So 2 weeks in or a month in, I found out that, oh man, this is something I don't even really like this habit that I was supposed to form. And yeah, so I pivoted a lot. So for 2025, that's something that I want to avoid, planning literally long term things like that. So for 2025, instead of planning for a whole year, I want to I want to plan my focus to be a little bit more um, focused on one thing at a time. So what I'm going to do is divide the year in quarters. So I would have the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and then fourth quarter. First quarter would be 3 months, which is January, February, March. And then the next 3 months, and then the next. Hopefully you get what I mean. And yeah, doing that will help me focus on one thing at a time. And again, that's one thing I failed to do this year. I literally just focused on one thing. Yes, I did that, but it was just business. I fell off on other things. So, for example, breaking. I fell off on breaking because with breaking, I did the same thing as when I would work out. I would I would code still in my head, but breakdancing, is a different beast. It's not just a physical activity. You also it's an art. So you have to be creating. You have to be in the present moment. Your mind has to be in it. So that was my mistake when I would go to train for breaking. I would still I would be there, but I would just kind of be there. My mind would be somewhere else. I wouldn't really be creating. So I didn't really level up in breaking. So for the first quarter of 2025, that's what I'm focusing on. And that's what I'm allowing my mind and setting my mind to. So, and it kind of helps me realign myself, right? When I'm doing too much business stuff in the first quarter, I'll be like, well, I promised myself that this quarter it will be purely on breaking. Like most of my focus will be on breaking. So when I'm taking a shit, it'll be thinking of thinking of moves. When I'm eating, it'll be thinking of moves for the first quarter, right? And then kind of go from there. Let's see what the second quarter will bring, depending on what life brings, because that too, this system will allow me to be a little bit more flexible because the year plan, it makes you feel shitty when all of a sudden you're not on your path that you set out for yourself. So this quarter, like viewing life in quarters type of framework mindset, helps me to be a little bit more predictable. So that's one thing you can apply to your 2025 resolutions, is to treat life in quarters. Again, because yeah, it'll help you with life's unpredictability. Um, for example, this year it wasn't in my cards to move back in with my parents, but my long-term relationship ended, and so here we are, right? So can't plan for things like that, right? So this allows for that. So that's one thing. And another thing that I'm taking over to 2025 is this theming thing that I do with each year. So this year, for example, my theme was financial freedom, and that's because I have student loans. And so in order for me to be free, I have to be financially free. I have to get rid of the student loans. And and that's helpful for me theming it that way, because every time I'm about to do something or I question something, I just ask myself, well, does this help me become more financially free? And if the answer is no, then I don't do it. So that's why too, when the relationship ended and I was looking at my goals and 2025, I'm like, well, it doesn't really make sense for me to, keep the apartment and just, I'll be living alone and things like that. It's pointless unless really the only value for me would just be that I'd have my independence, and, I can bring people over, girls over, and then, but really that's not the goal right now. So it was an easy no for me. Like, don't keep the apartment, move back in. Just it's a blessing. That's how I'm seeing it now. Like, it's a privilege actually. I'm grateful that my parents can take me back in, and support me in that sense. And so yeah, for 2025, I'm keeping the same theme and even doubling down on it. But with that said too, also I have to be realistic, because again, I'm not perfect. So I have to have some sort of balance. So I'm pretty frugal. I would say I'm cheap. Like, as an example, I'm a software engineer. That's my profession. And my tool, right, is I need a laptop for work. And what I use for work, I still use a 2017 MacBook Pro with only 128 gigs. And I have to do a bunch of like hacky ways just to get around doing things with it, but it works. So I don't upgrade. And same thing with my phone situation. The last time I had bought a phone was 2018, and ever since then I would just get free phones because my sister had a phase where she literally bought the new, the, like the new phones that came out each year. So I would just get those for free. What I'm recording with right now is an S20. I got that from her, and my main phone, which is an iPhone 11, I got from a friend. So I've been lucky in that sense. But what I'm trying to get to is that, because I'm really just trying to sell this to myself because I want to travel. So this is my balance. And one place that I'm eyeing, well, two places I'm eyeing. One is for sure Vietnam because I love pho. So this may mean that for 2025, I I'm not gonna get I'm not gonna go out much to eat pho, but it would mean that I would be saving up to go to Vietnam and have pho there. And also, I'm also eyeing Italy because I watched Gladiator 2 and I love the first one too. And I would just love to visit the Colosseum and just traveling in general. So this will be my way of staying sane with the whole financial freedom thing, live. Yeah. So because again, the lessons is just like balance. Like you have to be flexible and yeah. So that's what I'm doing for 2025. I hope you're taking something out of this. So just to make it a little bit more clear, um, I had two things that I said there. Treat 2025 in quarters, and I'm not just actually talking about the years, not just like treating them in like spans of 3 months for an aspect of your life that you want to focus on, but also like treating your day to day in quarters. So you have 24 hours in the day. Um, for 8, you sleep in general, right? And then you would have 16 hours left. Let's say you wake up at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., that's your first quarter for the day. 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., that's second. 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's third quarter. 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's the fourth quarter. So that too is also a cool thing to apply to your dailies. So life in quarters so that you can focus on one thing at a time and actually be able to level up in multiple things in your life and not just one thing for the year. And then second is to theme your year. For me, again, it's financial freedom. And every time I need to, I'm getting lost throughout the year. I just ask myself the question: does it get me closer to my theme, financial freedom? If not, then I'll 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 need to really have a good reason to, say yes to it or say no or yeah, you know, you get what I mean. Like I'll really need to sell it to myself, like traveling. So those are the two things. I really hope that you took something out of that, and let's kill 2025.